Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you my first impressions plus on-feet video of the brand new K-Leather TechCraft variation of the Nike Magista Opus. Now inside the box they do include a string bag to go along with the shoes themselves. The string bag is black in color with black strings. You're going to find some light blue Nike football branding on one side and a light blue Nike swoosh on the other. Other than that, all you're going to find inside the box, as you guys can see, are the shoes themselves. So we'll get these guys out of the box really quickly and we'll take a closer look at the TechCraft Nike Magista Opus. Now in today's video, we're going to be going over all the details on what you should know about this K-Leather variation of the Magista Opus. So if you're interested in learning more on fit, feel, and overall performance, please stick around and watch the entire video because we're going to go over all of that. If you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, click the very first link down below in the description of this video. That's going to take you to the review page on my website where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's talk tech specs and really what's on offer when it comes to performance with the TechCraft Nike Magista Opus. Now this shoe, its construction at least, is somewhat similar to that of the TechCraft Magista Obra in that it's a standard Magista Opus base with a leather covering, whereas a lot of the other TechCraft models have uppers that have been completely reinvented in order to accommodate for a leather upper. What Nike has given us here with the Magista Opus is the standard mesh and Kangalite base layer of material for the entire shoe with a very thin layer of premium kangaroo leather, which is the entire black portion, on top of that Kangalite base, which is kind of interesting. It means that the touch on the ball will be affected because of that extra layer of material, but the general way that the shoe feels and fits on your foot is going to be pretty much the same as a standard pair of Magista Opuses, which is kind of interesting. Like I said, it's not a dramatic redesign, but it's definitely an interesting tweak or a modification, I guess is the best way to put it, in comparison to a standard Magista Opus that kind of gets me pretty excited about these. I'm a big fan of the Legend 5. It's my personal favorite shoe on the market right now, but if I were to pick a second favorite shoe from Nike, it would be the Magista Opus. So to have an Opus with a leather covering is something that's just really interesting to me. So for those that don't know, we're going to run down what you would normally get with a standard pair of Magista Opuses. You have a base layer of Kangalite as well as mesh, which is pretty much the standard upper. You can see some of it exposed right here where it's not covered in leather, and that's basically what you have across the entire upper right here. If you're not familiar with the Opus, I suggest going ahead and checking out a review that I have on the standard variation of the Opus so you can see exactly what's going on. But essentially you have a Kangalite upper with all these little cutouts here. It's a similar pattern to what you're going to find on the Obra, but no Flyknit whatsoever. All these little cutouts are filled in with a mesh material, very thin, completely smooth, and that's what lines the entire inside of the shoe. They haven't modified that in any way because of the leather upper covering. Now on top of that Kangalite and mesh base, you're going to find that thin, very soft kangaroo leather that you find across all the other top-end models within the TechCraft pack. I'm going to try and show you guys the side profile right here, but the leather is remarkably thin and it's kind of pulled right into the upper to the point where you can actually see the texturing of all the little cutouts in the standard Kangalite upper, which is really interesting. Still not sure how they managed to do that, but they did it, and the final product is very, very nice. They're soft, they're flexible. Obviously, it's going to provide more of a padded, more leather-like sensation in comparison to the standard Opus, which is on the thinner side, but still has a slightly padded feel. Kangalite synthetic is actually a synthetic material designed to mimic the natural feel of kangaroo leather, so it's kind of interesting that you have Kangalite and actual leather on the same shoe, on the same upper, kind of one on top of each other, I guess is the best way to put it. So really, really curious to see how these things are going to perform. And then of course it does have ACC, all conditions control as well, acting as your wet control element. You can see the cutouts here in the actual leather themselves, which kind of rearranges the Nike swoosh on the medial side, which is really not going to have much of an impact on performance whatsoever. So that's not something that's too concerning if that's something that you were thinking about. The lacing system is pushed slightly to the medial side, just like the rest of the Magista lineup. Obviously, the Magistas were previously the CTR 360 line, so that's pretty much the exact same cut there. Something I'm personally a big fan of with this particular shoe. Unlike the Magista Obra, it does have a standard cut in the heel area. It's got a fairly good kind of deeper fit, so heel slippage slippage and just heel lockdown in general is not an issue here whatsoever. The lining material is pretty straightforward, all synthetic leather, smooth on the sides, perforated at the very back, and you got some decent padding back there as well. So no major issues with comfort or really break-in time at all with this particular shoe based on my experiences. It's got the same insole as the Obra, mesh liner on top, perforations throughout. It's just a single layer of this yellow foam. Nothing too fancy, but it does get the job done. And then moving on to the sole plate, it is of course attached to this external heel counter, which I really like. And the sole plate, while it looks very similar to that of the Magista Obra, is actually a more flexible TPU plastic material. So feels more like the Tiempo Legend than what you're gonna find from the Obra in terms of just the natural flexibility of the sole plate itself. Again, something I'm personally a big fan of. And then of course the stud pattern, all conical studs. Again, very, very similar to what you're gonna find from the Tiempo lineup. It's not overly aggressive, but at the same time, because the studs are conical in shape and have a fairly narrow profile to them, they dig into the ground well and provide really good overall traction, but still don't kind of impede your ability to twist and turn and pivot when your foot is actually planted. So it's a really good all-around kind of modern take on a classic stud pattern that just works really, really well based on my experiences with it. No major complaints there whatsoever, and that's pretty much it in terms of what you're getting here with the TechCraft Magista Opus. It's a very interesting combination of materials, synthetic and leather on the same shoe, with the one synthetic material being designed to actually mimic the feel of natural leather. Not sure how it's going to impact performance in the long run. Obviously just something that's going to modify the touch on the ball, but still something I'm personally very curious about and can't wait to try out. When it comes to weight, since the leather Magista Opus is just a standard Opus with extra leather on the surface of the upper, obviously it's going to weigh more than the standard variation without the leather covering. The question is, how much more does it actually weigh? So using this scale in real time, we're going to find out what the difference actually is. Keep in mind these are both in brand new condition and both the exact same size 9.5 US, so this is a very fair comparison. We'll start off with the standard variation of the Magista Opus, throw it on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at a relatively lightweight 6.75 ounces, the equivalent of 191 grams. A lot of people don't realize this, but the Magista Opus is actually the second lightest model if you're talking about top-end shoes currently on offer from Nike, with only the Vapor 10 being a little bit lighter than this particular shoe, but honestly not much. So we'll change the units on the scale back to ounces. Again, remember 6.75, and we'll throw on the TechCraft leather variation, and you can see that they weigh in at 7 ounces exactly, the equivalent of 199 grams. So you're talking about a very, very small weight difference, 0.25 ounces, which is honestly not something you're going to notice really in hand or on feet. That falls into pretty much the exact same weight range as the Nike Magista Obra, as well as the Nike Mercurial Superfly 4. Technically just a little bit lighter than those two shoes as well. So if you're looking for a lightweight feel in general, regardless of whether or not it's the synthetic or leather variation of the Opus, you're definitely going to get that from this particular model. Aesthetically, I don't mind the look of the TechCraft Magista Opus. The color combination I think is pretty decent. You're going to find that blue turquoise color, which is a very common theme on the last couple of colorways in the Magista line, as well as black for the leather portion of the upper, including the tongue and the laces. Like I mentioned, the Nike swoosh on the lateral side is the same. It's nice and big running through the middle, whereas on the medial side, normally it'd be a little swoosh right here. They made it a full-size one as well to match the other side, which I personally think looks pretty cool. I think that in comparison to the Magista Obra in the exact same colorway and variation, the TechCraft Obra, these look a little bit better in my opinion. I like the shade of blue. Unfortunately, it doesn't match the sole plate and heel counter all that well. You're going to find the same thing on the Obra too. But nonetheless, I think it's a pretty decent looking shoe. The combination of blue and black is not bad. And I think the Opus is just a pretty decent looking shoe overall. You got the Magista logo right there going down the back of the heel. And that's pretty much it. Let me know your thoughts on the appearance of this shoe down below in the comment section. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the on-feet portion of the video so we can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit and of course what the sizing is like. All right, so here is a look at the TechCraft Magista Opus on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock laces that come with the shoes. And on my right foot, I have a pair of black Sunlight Shimmer SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, be sure to check out the website www.sr4ulaces.com. You find a direct link to that website down below in the description of this video. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, like I mentioned earlier in the video, because this is still a regular Magista Opus with some leather on top of the standard upper, the feel on feet is very similar. It's the same shape, it's the same fit. The only thing that you will notice is that these are arguably a little bit stiffer, at least when you're talking about the upper, because of that extra material. Without that extra material, it'd be a little bit more free, but it doesn't feel uncomfortable by any means. Obviously, there's somewhat of a break-in period with any shoe, and because this does have the leather covering, the leather is only going to get softer, perhaps even stretch a little bit after some wear time. But overall, the difference in feel is very minimal going from the standard Opus to the Tech Craft variation. The real difference that you're going to notice with this shoe versus the standard model is the type of feel that it provides on the ball. Because you have that leather on the upper, you're going to get a more cushioned touch, a more natural touch, and something that's just, like I said, a little bit different from a standard pair of Opuses. But overall, still very comfortable, nice and light on your foot, and just a very, very good shoe overall from out of the box. In terms of the overall width of the shoe, it's got some decent width to it. It's going to be suitable for most foot types. If you have really, really, really wide feet, you may find these to be a little bit narrow in the toe box area, but like I said, for the most part, they're going to be suitable for most people. And in regards to sizing, I'm wearing a size 9.5 US, which is a half size larger than my usual size 9. That's because the Magista line runs about a half size small. So if you're wearing any current Magista model at the moment, stick with the same size for the Magista Opus. But if you're coming from most other shoe lines, I would recommend going a half size up in order to achieve the best possible fit. All right, guys, that is it for my first impressions of the Tech Craft Nike Magista Opus. Be sure to look out for more content on this shoe as well as the rest of the Tech Craft lineup in the very near future on this channel. Again, if you guys are interested in a pair of these for yourself, click the very first link down below in the description of this video. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find high quality images of this exact pair that I took myself, along with buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. If you have any questions at all regarding the leather Nike Magista Opus, leave them down below in the comment section. I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.